Hi everyone, this is Archangeli. Welcome to my channel, and if you're a subscriber, welcome back. So this is my first video for 2019, so Happy New Year, Happy Valentine's Day. And spoiler, today we're going to be opening the Volks Saber Altria Pendragon version. And let me be honest, I actually wasn't going to make this video because I thought, since Volks has been shipping these dolls out since last October, I thought everybody and their uncle was going to have one. So I thought there'd be tons of videos and photos of her all over Facebook and YouTube, and to my surprise there really wasn't, which is why here I am. We're going to open this up together. I want to share this awesome doll with you, and yeah, let's get to it. So this arrived today. Today is February, I guess it's February 14th now, but it arrived yesterday, and I pre-ordered this doll in November 2017. It is now February 2019, so it's been a year and 4 months since the day I pre-ordered and the day that I got this. Now bear in mind, I actually pre-ordered it quite late in the pre-order, and I paid for it really late. There were a couple of difficulties. I'm going to open while I talk. So Volks decided to redo their online store sometime in December, right around the time the deadline to pay for the doll was, and so I went to go pay, and I was like, how do I send you money? The whole site was down. So I had to email them, and they said, oh, you know, we're going to send you a PayPal invoice and you'll have until the end of January to pay. And I was like, oh, that's nice. I can recover a little bit from Christmas before I need to pay for this. So that's why I put off paying for the doll so late, and why it shipped to me in February, because obviously they're not going to ship until I pay for it. And because this was a pre-order doll, I knew it was coming. I've had lots of time to save up for it. And that's the joy of pre-order dolls. So what the heck is a pre-order? So when Volks has something that they want to make available to everyone, they'll open up a pre-order time slot for about 3 weeks to a month. And in that time, you usually can just put down a deposit. And it's usually about $100 or so. And that secures your order, or your pre-order rather. And then you have a whole year before you need to pay for the rest of the doll. So they do this once every fall. So last autumn, it was the Near Automata dolls. It was 2B and 9S. So those will ship starting probably in, hopefully, November 2019. So this was the pre-order project for 2017. No, yes, 2017. So, all right, let's open this up. Hang on, let me put the invoice away. Actually, while I have the invoice, the total price of this doll was 106,920 yen. So she was a little over $1,000 US, not including shipping. But I was quite lucky this time. I didn't get dinged with taxes or customs, so I didn't have to pay any additional fees on top, which was kind of nice. I can turn this so you can see how this comes when Volks ships it. It's really well bubble wrapped and protected, because if you're a hardcore collector, obviously the box has value. It's part of the collectible. So let's carefully get this out. Short of me, you know, flipping it upside down and dumping it. Come on, there we go. Bye-bye, box. Sorry, cat. So there we go. I'm gonna cut the bubble wrap. And so let me open this, and so this is a new part of the room, of my room, that I don't think any of you have seen before. Usually I film in front of the display cases, but this is my computer setup and my TV, so that I can sit on the couch and watch Netflix, or watch the hubby when he's playing video games or what have you. And I just, you know, you're always asking me to do a room tour, but that's honestly too much work, because then I have to clean, and I really don't like cleaning. So today you get to see a different part of the room. Maybe next time I do a different video, you'll see a different section of the room, and eventually you'll get an idea of what this space looks like. So let's get the bubble wrap off. And the box itself is in a plastic sleeve to protect it from, I guess, any water damage. So let me just carefully take this off. So this is one of the massive slider boxes. I haven't needed to deal with one of these in quite some time. If you'll remember, Sailor Moon came in like a lift up type of box. So this is one of the sliders. Let me hold this up so you can have a look. So it's got a beautiful photo of Saber. It's Altria Pendragon. So this is actually a re-release. Volks did release Saber a long time ago. I'll look it up and I'll give you the actual year in a minute. And it's been really hard to find her on the aftermarket for a reasonable price. I think at one point when it was the most inflated, it was about 4,000 to 5,000 American dollars, which, as much as I really like Saber and I love Fate Stay Night, it was just too much for me to pay. So when they re-released her as a pre-order, I jumped on it. And the other doll that they released at the same time as this was Joan of Arc, Jeanne d'Arc. I didn't really care for that character as much, so I did not pre-order that doll. But she was also available. So let me just give this a turn so you can see. So there's nothing on the back here. It's just white. And there you go. So let's slide this open. And we're going to just put that there. And they've, for a vinyl doll, they've put a lot of padding in here. Actually, I'm going to get rid of this bubble wrap as well. And, oh, it's the smell of a new vinyl doll. Sorry, it's like crack. It's so good. So, let me get rid of that paper. And here you can see she's just held in place with these little ribbons. Oops, I got one and I got the other. Here, let's just take this off right now. And so I'm quite excited because this crunchy paper, this is the new I don't know what they're calling it, the F3 or the F cubed body. So even though she's the Dollfie Dream sister height or scale, it's a newly designed body that Volks released in 2017. And it's supposed to be more posable and a little bit more customizable because you can actually access the joints and tighten them with a screwdriver if you're having difficulty with the elbows and posing her. So let me just figure out what to do. Let's actually put her back here for a second and have a look at all the other stuff that's in the box. So if I tilt this way, nope, sorry guys. All right, let's lift this bit out and just keep moving things. Awesome. So here we have all of her stuff that comes in. So here's her instructions in a nice little Ziploc bag, which is awesome. Her full outfit, her wig, and these are black hand pegs so that when you put her armor hands on, the wrist joint will be black. And oh, I have a feeling I know what this is. I have a feeling this is the armor. Yeah, okay, so I'm just going to keep moving things out of the way. And I have Saber Lily, Saber Extra, and Saber Alter. So I have several of the Saber dolls. They're all here actually behind me. And I have had some experience with the armor before, but honestly it has been a long time since I've needed to put any of my Saber girls in their armor. So, whew, okay. Let's put this here. And, okay, so this is double layered. Here's her armor. So you've got her chest piece, looks like her arm and leg armor and her skirt. And then here we have her feet. These are the pegs for the foot armor. I'm not sure what this piece is. We'll check in a minute. And different armored hands in different poses so you can pose her dynamically and also so that she can hold Excalibur, her sword, and she comes with this really cute crown. Alright, so I'm going to open up some of this and we're going to dress Saber up in just a little bit. I made a mistake earlier. I meant to say April 2008. Saber was originally released in 2008. Anyhow, here is a good look at her head. See, she's got a beautifully defined nose and lovely subtle blushing. Nice high cheekbones. And her eyes have this beautiful hint of blue in them, even though overall her eyes are green. Alright, so I've laid out all the dress components except for the big furry cape. I've put that to one side just because I have cats and I don't want fluff getting on it. And inside the instruction pamphlet, it details all of the items that come with your doll. So the clothing items all laid out and labeled, all the different armor components, and if this is your first doll, it has really wonderfully detailed instructions on how to dress up your doll. So you're going to start with the white slip dress and then move on to the blue overdress and the petticoat and the pantaloons. Oh, hey Chloe. And then put on the armor. So why don't we start with this? And I'll show you a close-up of this afterwards, but Volks recommends that you do use their Dollfie Dream tape to protect the upper arms. So let me quickly explain what that is. You'll have to excuse my packaging. This is super duper old, but Volks makes this tape in all the skin tones that they make the Dollfie Dreams in. So in the regular skin tone, the semi-white, as well as the white skin. And this, basically you just cut a piece off and stick it anywhere there's that black thread from clothing would touch to prevent staining. And I've had this for forever, but this is basically like Tamiya tape. If you do any kind of Gundam building or Gunpla building, it's basically the same tape. It won't damage your doll. It doesn't leave a residue, and it's easy to tear and easy to cut. So I've already done this. It's hard to see, but I've put the tape on Saber's upper arms. You just cut a piece off, wrap it on her arm. And let's get her dressed. So this little white dress, really cute. It has these little clear elastic shoulder straps. These can be quite fragile, so don't pull on them too hard. And the dress does up in the back with metal snaps. Thank goodness they're not plastic snaps. I just have a personal dislike of plastic snaps. In the pamphlet, it does tell you when you're opening the snaps rather, to stick your fingernail in here and just kind of click them open, as opposed to just pulling on the dress and opening the snaps, because you can end up just tearing them right off the dress and damaging it. So carefully open up your snaps and dress up Saber. Now I did promise you some numbers, so I looked these up earlier. The original Saber doll, the first release of Saber in this blue dress, the original Fate Stay Night Saber, was released at Delpa 19 in April 2018. That's almost 11 years ago. That's crazy. And at the time, she was 95,000 Japanese yen. So she's really expensive. And if you actually think about the fact that it's been 11 years and this doll was, what did I say earlier, 106,000? It's a bit of inflation, but it's actually not a huge change. It's not a huge inflation. So, moving on. So, the original Saber was on the Dollfie Dream 2 body, which is kind of the original Dollfie Dream body, because there's not very many dolls that are on the DD1 body. And, you know, she was vinyl like these dolls, and very posable, and her head sculpt, the number, was number 25. If you want to check, let's see if this is the same head number. I'm going to just yank her head off now. Excuse me. Down here, underneath her chin, there's a little number, and this is head sculpt 25. It's the same head as the original Saber. So I'm just going to put this back on now. Get on there. There we go. So yeah, it's really easy to pop their heads on and off. So let's just get the little shoulder straps sitting on her shoulders. There we go. And then I did mention that there was a re-release. So in 2011, Volks did a pre-order project of the second version of Saber Alter and Saber from the Fate Extra version, which is the red dress and the big red sword. and they retailed for about 69,000 yen each, and that was obviously a lot less. And it's because, oh sorry, I don't need this piece yet. It was because those dolls don't have the full armor, so that's why the price was a little bit lower. One thing Volks wanted to, they mentioned it in the pamphlet, and I guess I'll point it out to you guys. The little tags on the inside, I'll zoom in on these later, they're done in white with like a very pale yellow embroidery thread. They used to do this in black, so by doing this in this little white, light yellow color, it's a much less risk of staining. Anyway, what was I talking about? So the pre-orders of Saber Alter and Saber Extra were on the DD3 body, which was the newer body, taller, but in terms of posability, much more control. Like, she could hold her swords better. It was just a big improvement. And also, both of those dolls were on Head Sculpt 25, so they haven't done much in terms of changing that up. Goodness. Now, the one saber that I've left out is Saber Lily. And Saber Lily, I want to say, came out about 8 years ago, because she was the first Dollfie Dream that I ever got. And you can check one of my videos where I talk about when I got Lily and how I got Lily and all of that. And I can talk all about Lily. But so there have actually been quite a few iterations of the Saber character released by Volks. So I've just put her little pantaloons on. They just do up with the an elastic up top. And now I'm going to slip this little petticoat on. There's elastic seam we'll put at the back. And we'll just get this on. So, I'm really curious to check out the differences of this new Volks body. Just dressing her and handling her right now, I feel, how do I describe this? A very nice level of resistance when I'm bending her, which means that she'll hold her poses and she won't like flop around or anything like that. So yeah, and like her arms, her elbow joints are nice and tight, her knee joints are nice and tight. I've had some dolls come to me and the elbow joint just pops right out because it's so loose. Yeah, so this is quite nice. All right, so this blue overdress, the reason that they recommend putting the tape is because you see this big poofy sleeve? It's lined in white on the inside. And then the tight sleeve is all, it's hard to see, but it is also lined in white on the inside. But in order to sew these two pieces together, they have to use the blue thread, otherwise you'd see the white sticking through. And so there's a tiny risk of the blue staining your doll, which is why they recommend using the tape. All right, so let's, there's a little hook and eye, and then there's a zipper, so you just take that down. Be careful, because it is a fairly tight zipper. Now, I'm kind of regretting putting her petticoat on now because it makes everything very puffy. You know what? I'm going to take the petticoat off because it does make... Oh, wait. Hold on. There we go. I didn't pull the zipper all the way down. That helps, right? So we're going to slide this in. Alright, now to get the hands into this very tight sleeve, I'm just going to pull them straight out of the armature. So, layer down, just grab your forearm, grab the ball joint, and just give that a tug. See, that comes out so easily? Let's just tug that out, and then you can slide the sleeves on without any obstruction. So let's... I'm going to turn her so I can see what I'm doing. And get these sleeves on. They are quite snug and poofy. So I'm going to do the hook and eye up at the top. So actually, if you're looking for an eye, you won't find one. What you're trying to hook this metal hook in at the top is this very, very tiny white loop of thread right at the back of the collar here. And then once you have that in place, just carefully zip up the zipper. And it's tight, so go slow, and there you go. And that is, oops, that's the blue overdress. All right, so next we can put her hands back on just for looks, but when we put her armor on, I'm going to have to take them off again anyhow, so no big deal. Next we're going to put on this corset. So luckily Volks takes all the guesswork out of it. This just velcros on, so you don't need to lace anything. Nothing complicated with the corset. Let me just have a quick look and see where this sits. So yes, this just goes right over the top of the dress. All right. So there we go. And you can kind of move it around. What's nice is that these pieces have wire in them, so you can kind of pose them in a really neat, like dynamic way, like as if there's a breeze. Yeah, so anyway, we'll fiddle with that. But just so you know, this is normal. And okay, moving on, what do they suggest? Next, Volks wants us to tackle the armor. Okay, let's do that. So here's the information pamphlet that comes with Saber. It has everything laid out. So all of her outfit components, all of her armor components, which I'll talk through quickly, as well as the instructions on how to dress her. So they tell you to carefully open the snaps. Pulling is no good, and that's what the NG stands for. They recommend using Dollfie tape to protect the arms. They show you how to pull the wrist joints out, how to dress her, and I'll just hold it like this if you want to pause on the video and have a look at the instructions. Be my guest. And here's the last page. All right, so let me just quickly talk about the individual components. So here's her little white slip dress. It's just a single layer of white satin with a little bit of embroidery on the bottom, a couple little pearls, and these clear elastic straps. It does up in the back using metal snaps. So ideally you want to, when you're opening the snaps, get your fingernail in there and carefully click it open. Don't just pull, okay? And one thing they were pointing out here is what I was chatting about. The Volks logo is done in white, or it's a white tag, but it's like a pale yellow embroidery, so that won't stain. This is the petticoat, pretty straightforward. It's a crispy tulle. And here are her pantaloons, the elastic. So here's her overdress. And as I mentioned, this does have a wired frame, and you can see it's lined in like a light gray. It's not quite white, it's a light gray on the inside. With these puffy shoulders, you can see, it might be a little hard to see, but you can make out that the inside of the sleeves are white lined. There's little bits of blue. So body stocking might be recommended because when I pull down the zipper, so the zipper does come all the way down to here, but it catches right where this gold embroidery is. It does come further down. Just kind of gently ease it along. Come on. There we go. And yeah, it does come down all the way to there. But you'll see there are little bits of blue threads. So, and also this part lays against the back of your doll. So you can either use Dollfie tape or a body stocking to protect from staining, because the blue zipper would be laying right against your doll. And the last piece is the corset. Now I have it attached to the armor. I haven't detached it. So this is the corset piece with the little front skirt flap. And I'm going to carefully show you here. There's a little metal snap. And that's how the armor skirt slides through here. It is a little tricky to get in, but it is much easier to get this when the skirt is not on the doll, because you can kind of slide it. You can put your thumb in here to hold it and then get that metal snap back in, which is quite difficult to do if you have it on your doll. There we go, see? And this just does up in the back with doll Velcro, which is like a nice thin Velcro. So yeah, that's the inside of those pieces. And as I said, this is hinged. So you can see those pieces. All right, so let's move on. We'll do a close-up of her armor. All right, so I have one of her armor trays out in front of me, as well as her feet components and the little ankle pegs. So let's start. The pamphlet basically suggests starting from the bottom up. So let's put the feet components together. So I've already done one. So you need to take the foot, obviously, out of the plastic. And this is Saber's right foot. So just have a look at the shape of it to figure that out. With these pegs, there's a hole on the one side where there's a screw in the ankle joint. So you want the screw to be facing inwards when you install it. Now these ankle pegs were actually highly problematic when my friends, the Bobness and Wolf Heinrich, got their, I guess, the original shipping run back in November. What we think Volks did is they quite possibly rehashed this piece from the original Saber armor production run. So it was sized to fit the Dollfie Dream 2 body. Now, because this release is a Dollfie Dream sister, she's shorter. Everything's a little bit scaled down. And so what happened with my friends is that they went to install this into the doll and it was sticking out. The ankle joint didn't fit. So they had to contact Volks, and Volks was, they were fairly good about it. They apologized and they said, you know, just throw these pieces out. We're going to mail you the proper pieces. And they got them within 2-3 weeks, and they didn't have to pay any extra shipping. But it was, I'm glad that they fixed the problem, but it was just sheer laziness to start with. Anyway, so the short bit goes into the foot. Just be careful because this piece is hinged and the hole facing inwards, like I said. And just carefully push that in. See, quite simple. And then I'm not going to put them on the doll yet because otherwise I can't get the calf armor on. So let's take Saber off just for a moment. And I'm going to take her feet off so you can, these come off really easily. And one of the features I mentioned of the new F3, F cubed, whatever they're calling this body, is that certain components have these little screws that you can tighten. So if you notice that the feet are a little loose, you just take a tiny, like an optical screwdriver, and you can just tighten that or loosen it as you need to get the right amount of tension that you need. So that just comes out nicely. We're going to set those aside because we probably won't need them anymore. And next, let me grab one of the calf armor pieces. So these are sculpted left and right. And you just need to have a look at the back at how the leg is sculpted. I'm sure in the actual book they're labeled left and right, but because I can't read the Japanese, I'm just eyeballing these things. So this is her left calf, we're going to slide that on nicely over her little pantaloon. There we go, and you can access the ankle peg there. That's awkward, but you know. Next piece, and repeat. Get that on her. Oh, okay. Oh, neat. So, all right. I did something a little bit wrong. Don't slide them on like I just did. They're magnets. That's so cool. Oh, that's so neat. Sorry. With Saber Lily, they were kind of like male and female peg sockets. So they came apart really easily. So this is super cool. So you can just fit that right over her leg. And when you find the sweet spot, so what's giving me trouble right now is the fabric from her, the cuff underneath her knee of her pantaloons. There we go. So this sits nicely. I'm still really boggled by this. This is so cool. And these look like, you know, tiny little, they call them rare earth magnets. So they're quite strong. So we'll just align that nicely. And I'm just tucking in the pantaloons. And get that sitting over her knee nicely, and there you go. Oh, that's so cool. And this is her left foot, so we'll just install that. And her right foot. Yes. Oh, and that came undone. But at least because they're magnets, you don't risk snapping or breaking any little pegs or any little bits. There we go. So there we go. So if I hold this up, you can check out her leg armor. Neat. All right, so let's get her back on the stand. What a catch. Oh gosh. Let's put this piece back on. I can see these little magnets being good and bad. So if you own Saber, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this magnet mechanism. If you've been playing with yours longer than mine, obviously, what do you think of it? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you find it comes undone all the time? So I'm actually sliding up her pantaloon here to try to get this. There we go. And I'm going to adjust her doll stand just a little bit so that we can stand her up. All right. Cool. So next, I'm going to attempt to put on her skirt armor. So with these pieces, I remember from Saber Lily, they hook onto a belt. Here I don't have a belt, so these are really neat because they are hinged. They've got like a plastic joint in there. And I just want to see if there is a left and a right. I'm sure there is a difference. So this was the first piece. Let me just check the manual. No, the manual is not particularly helpful. Both of these pieces are just labeled A. So, alright, if it looks funny, we'll fix it. You see these little loops in here? They attach to this little bit on her corset. So let me just get my fingernail in here to carefully undo the snap. See this little flap? That's what we're going to slide through. So let me lift her arm. And this slides into the armor skirt. So I'm going to try to do this facing you guys so you can see what I'm doing. But I may have to turn her around. Right, so while I fiddle with this, we'll take a quick break. Okay, that was much more finicky than I expected. I actually just took the corset off so that I could do this, because you need to carefully lace that little belt on the side through these loops. With Saber Lily, they just kind of hooked, and it was easier, but as a result, the armor could fall off much more easily. So this is much more secure, but it's quite fiddly because you need to kind of gently slide the straps through, and it's a little bit thick for the little loop in the armor because of the metal tab and everything. So anyway, take it off. It's much easier to maneuver that way. And now I'm just going to put this back on. So arms up, please. And because they are just kind of free floating on that belt, you can kind of shift them around. So I'm not sure if this is, oh, it's not centered. So let me just kind of rotate that a little bit. There we go. Yeah, and you can move this around to get it how you want, or you can flare it out. Really neat. Okay, so that's done. Let's put on her art pieces. So again, let's carefully take this plastic off. So much plastic. And these don't appear to have a right or a left. They just slide right onto the arms. So I'm going to take her hands off. Oops, sorry. Oh, neat. Okay, so a while back, Volks released an improved wrist joint that not only bends frontwards and backwards, but also does a 360 swivel, so you have more posability. So these are the improved wrist joints. So that's a nice thing that they included. Because you can buy them separately and they're about 1,400 yen. So just slide these. Whoops. I really need a bigger table. That's what I need. Anyone want to buy me a new table? Alright, so let's pop that up. And let's put on her chest piece. And then I can get rid of this plastic tray for now. Alright, Saber, let's move you centered. And take the armor out of the plastic. And again, this uses that magnet system that we saw earlier. I'm so amused by this. So let me just get her front piece and then the back piece. So this is quite a snug fit because of all the layers of fabric that she's got on. And I don't want to pinch the corset or the dress or anything. This is on, but also not really. So I will fiddle with this, but for the moment it's holding, and it looks okay. If it falls off, I'm sorry. So you can get a look of how that works. Next, let's do some hands. All right, so here are the little black wrist components, and let's have a look at these hand pieces. Let me take this tray one. She comes with 4 hand pieces and a little black thingy. Oh, I figured out what the black thingy is. It's actually a stand for the bottom of her sword. So if she's holding her sword like this, it clips into the point of the tip of her sword, so you can balance it on your table and not break it. Cool. All right, so she comes with an open hand, this kind of lazy kind of open hand that doesn't have the articulated fingers, and then a nice grippy hand with fingers and another lazy grippy hand with fingers. Okay. Or maybe that's, oh, it's actually, maybe that's just the design of her armor, because both of the left hands have the lazy finger business. I don't know enough about medieval armor to know if this was a design feature. So anyway, with the plastic wrist joints, again, these, oh, there we go. These bend forward and backwards. And that's a definite joint. And then they also swivel 360. And if you look at it, you'll see that there's a flat side, the bottom is flat, and there's a curve to the top. You want the curve facing upwards. I guess we'll use her grabbing hand so she can hold her sword. We're going to put the curved piece facing upwards and insert that in. That fits in quite nicely. Clicks in beautifully. And matching hand, curve side up. Very nice. All right, and then we can just install this and pull the armor down. Cool. All right. Now, let's put her wig on. All right, so here are all of the armor components. Let's, I guess, start with the bottom up. So here are the feet that I mentioned, that I showed you earlier. So this is the jointed bit here, and you can tell they are left and right foot. And moving up are the shin pieces. So if you look at the sculpt on the back, it corresponds nicely to the shape of the calf on the doll, which is how you can make out if it's a left or right. And here's what I was talking about, these rare earth magnets. So if I bring this just close enough, it just clicks in beautifully. This is really neat. I can kind of gently tug at it. I'm not giving any pressure, but it's not coming apart. Like there, it comes apart. But if you're just gently knocking it, it's not going to come undone. So this is the other shin piece. Let's just put that like that so it lays nicely. So I was a little bit mistaken with the arm pieces. This one with this kind of trumpet lip is for her right arm. This one is for her left. This is the little bit that's jointed here on the right over the wrist. It's not heavily jointed, so don't fiddle with it too much. And here's the chest pieces. So this is the back plate, this is the front plate. You can see the magnets, and it just clicks in. So I thought this was supposed to actually slide underneath, it doesn't. It's just purely optics. And again, if you tap it gently, it's not going to come apart. So here are the hand pieces. So the right hand with the actual articulated fingers, the left hand with, I guess, guarded fingers. So here's the piece that I broke. And you can see it's a really clean break. It'll be really easy to repair with a little bit of super glue or cement, plastic cement. Here is the wrist piece, and you can see it does, if I demonstrate this way, it does a 360 turn as well as moving forwards and backwards. So when you're posing this, look for the track to get the front and back motion. If you try to force it the other way, you can break the joint. And here's her crown that I didn't put on, but you can see there's a pretty big spike in here, and that keeps the crown in place on the wig. And here's the sword. It's got some etching or some ruins on the one side, nothing on the other side. And how you're supposed to have Saber hold this, the pommel actually comes apart, or the hilt rather. So the pommel is this part, but the hilt comes apart, and you're supposed to be able to slide it up into the hand like that and then put this back on. But I'm not going to force this because I really don't want to break another handpiece. And while I've got you zoomed in, just as a little bonus, I'm going to show you one of the pieces from my personal collection. So this is Avalon that comes with, or she was an additional purchase item with Saber Lily. It's quite hard to find nowadays, but it's one of my little treasures. And it's quite neat because there it is. But in addition to the sword, you have this beautiful scabbard. So, excuse me, I just want to compare. Yeah, Avalon is, sorry, it's much nicer. But the pommel on this sword, or it's rather the hilt on this sword, does not come apart. So it's a new design that they've incorporated with new Saber. Alright, so on to her wig. Heads up, this is an extremely delicate wig. Don't be rough with it, don't force it. You do not want to wreck it. It's one of the more intricately styled Volks wigs. And I say this from having played with Saber Alter and Saber Extra. My Saber Alter actually wears a completely alternate wig. Now, if this is your first Volks doll, the wig is actually attached to the cardboard with this little plastic pull tab. So you need to cut that off carefully. And that's how you know a Volks wig hasn't ever been used, because it'll still be attached to the cardboard. So I'm just cutting up here. And I'll find the other piece. Oh, here, okay. May as well grab it while I can reach it. Move the cardboard out of my way. I must say I like having all this counter space. When I'm filming in front of the display cases, I'm usually just throwing things on the floor. So it's kind of nice to have surface space. All right, so I'm going to cut this little plastic tab as well. And get the other end out. And just take this wig cap off. And take the paper out. Okay. So, wish me luck. Yes, spooky. So I'm going to just kind of center this. I'm going to put my finger Actually, I'm not even... Oi, why are you sliding? Get back up. Thank you. Alright, that was quite fiddly. So let me just talk you through what I did with the wig. I used the bangs and kind of sat it right here on the front of her head, and then carefully like slid it onto her head. And then what was happening, it was getting caught on the seam between her head cap and her head. So you kind of have to kind of squeeze the head and gently slide the wig down over the seam of her head. It's fiddly. So I took some time to get the wig on, and it's sitting quite nicely now. And the one thing I haven't put in is I haven't put in her little hair ribbon. So let's do that. It's on a tiny little U-pin, a hairpin, which is different from a bobby pin. This just will slide in nicely. This, if I rotate the doll stand, there we go. This just slides into the base of the wig there, and then you can kind of push it. There you go. Beautiful. Looks good. It's straight. And now her ahoge in the front is looking a little sad and a little bit limp, so I'm gonna try to fix that for you. So what I've got in my little pouch, I have some Volks water wax and an empty bottle. That's not helpful. I thought I had some water. Anyway, so we'll just use the water wax. So I'm going to take a little bit of this tiny bit on my fingers and just run that through here. So they've already put some hairspray or some styling product in this to make it stick, or not stick, but stiff. And I feel like I'm actually making this worse right now. I feel like a little bit of doll hairspray is a better product to be using rather than the water wax. There we go. So kind of try to stand that up a little bit. It's fiddly, but there, kind of. I really am just making this worse right now, sorry. There, that's the best that's going to happen today. I'll fiddle with that. You can kind of put a little bit on her, I guess the sideburn type long pieces. Okay, so that's the water wax done. And let's grab Excalibur. So I'm not going to put her crown on because, let me just show you. Her crown has this little spiky piece here that jabs into the wig. I would prefer not to do that to the wig right now because I have a feeling when I remove the crown, it will take some of the hairstyle out, and I really don't want to deal with that. So this was the little black piece I didn't know it was earlier, and it's part of the base of Excalibur. So here's her sword. This is very cool. It's got etching or runes on one side and nothing on the other. Right, friends, so if you've seen my Sailor Moon unboxing video, you saw me break the little moon tab, a moon charm that goes on her boot. 2 for 2, I did it again today. So while I was trying to get her sword into her right hand, I broke her hand. So the fingers came right off the rest of the glove piece. It's a really clean break. I can super glue this back together. In fact, if I click this together right now, it fits together really well. It's quite sturdy, but it's not strong enough for me to put her sword in. So her sword is just kind of balanced nicely right now, but I can't have her holding it in a dynamic pose, which is unfortunate that I broke this so fast. I don't know if it's a design flaw or user error, but it's an easy enough fix, so I'll just suck it up to user error. So my overall review of this doll, I would give her an 8.5 out of 10. I am really, really happy with her. Bearing in mind that I really wanted this to begin with. Like, she's one of my holy grail dolls that I've wanted for a very long time. I think she's beautifully rendered. I love her eyes. I like how her wig is styled. I like that it's actually less finicky than Saber Extra and Saber Lily's wigs because the bow is removable. So if I need to take her out, I don't need to worry about crushing the little ribbon in her hair. I like the magnets in the armor. I know some people might have different opinions, but I like that it clicks together. When you've got it in the right place, it just clicks together. It's a little finicky to get around her waist because you do have the white dress, the blue dress, and then that leather corset. So there's a lot of fabric and bulk going on, but my cats are going crazy. Anyway, but it's, I do like that the magnet feature on the armor. I think it's kind of cool. I'm really, really happy with her. So she's going to join my Fate Stay Night dolls. So behind me, she may not stay in the armor because I like to dress my dolls up in casual clothes. But behind me, I have Tosakarin, the second version. I have the original version. She's chilling over there in the doll nook. This is Saber Extra. This is Saber Lily. This is Saber Alter from the pre-order re-release. This is Sakura Mato. And I also have little Ilya chilling up top. So yeah, this kind of rounds out my Fate Stay Night collection. I'm really, really happy to have Saber joining the doll nook. And thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please do. I try to make new videos when I have something cool and interesting to share. I don't have a set schedule. I just make videos whenever I'm inspired. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to leave me comments and feedback. I do read them and I do reply. I hope to see you guys soon. Thank you so much.